The NCAA again is backing themselves into a corner, and now they're getting that support that door they keep knocking on from the government, and it looks like they might be getting it with this bill presented by Senator Cruz and Senator Cantwell.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, and coaching with the meets real talk. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Road Down Thursday edition, in segment 1, can bipartisan action save the NCAA? In segment 2, Duke's making some side money, and everybody wants to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it, and I do have Amazon. And in segment 3, we spoke last week about the changes in leadership. We're going to go even deeper in terms of how schools are selecting their new leaders. With us today to help us with these conversations is our basketball correspondent, Danny Thompson. And Danny, you were just at the SAC Symposium on the campus of Howard University. We've had a lot of conversations, and now Senators Ted Cruz and Maria Cantwell, who was recognized at the SAC Symposium, Cantwell are set to unveil a bill backed by the White House, marking a rare moment of alignment between Congress and the executive branch on college sports reform. So, as you know, in March 2026, President Trump formed 5 committees to overhaul the NCAA, led by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Yankees President Randy Levine. These groups included 29 power players from the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and the collegiate ranks. I'll let you go look at who was on the committee and who wasn't on the committee. That's not for me to say. This new bill is expected to supplant the SCORE Act, and the key features likely include antitrust shield, which grants the NCAA protection from legal challenges that have dismantled the traditional amateurism model, NIL regulation, ending the booster collective era by strictly prohibiting NIL-based salary cap circumvention. Radical proposals. The committee's draft framework includes high-impact ideas like capping coaches' salaries and creating a group of 6 playoff. There's a race against the clock, though. The goal is to push legislation through before August of 2026, summer recess, providing a legal foundation for the new $20.5 million athlete compensation cap. So there it is in a nutshell. The idea, it's bipartisan, talks about capping coaches' salaries. When you see this, especially after the last month of your life, sir, it was about 4 weeks ago that we were at the SAC Symposium, what's your reaction?
As far as the people that are on these committees, I don't want to get into it because that's a whole different conversation. Because like you said, when you were trying to get everything for our viewers, you can go look it up and see who's part of the committee and who's not. And don't be surprised when you see that committee has no college athlete involved. And I'll leave it at that. With the antitrust conversation, the NCAA, again, is backing themselves into a corner, and now they're getting that support that door they keep knocking on from the government, and it looks like they might be getting it with this bill presented by Senator Cruz and Senator Cantwell. I haven't had a chance to fully look into the bill itself, but from the gist of everything, it looks and sounds like just a very strong protection for the NCAA at this point. Because the one thing we bring up is the Sherman Antitrust Act, which is almost it's almost like you're trying to get rid of the whole. They want it to be amateurism. They want the amateur status to stay there. The problem is the NCAA has been making so much money that you're trying to tell athletes they can't use their name, image, and likeness just to go make some money here and there. It's not like they're, you know, being paid to play. Now, through the colleges, sure, that's how most colleges are doing it now. It's a lot of gray area in between with these bills coming in and how the NCAA is looking to handle things. The one thing that kind of caught my eye when you were talking a little bit was this whole group of 6 playoff scenario. As a guy who is this goes back to something I've been saying for a month now, is they're trying to protect those 4 major conferences, especially from a football standpoint. Because none of this describes the basketball scene or any other sport in this conversation. So I'm wondering, once I get a chance to look into this bill a little bit more, how is this going to circumvent and how is this going to protect the athletes more so them trying to protect the head of it, which is the NCAA? Because for what it sounds like, it's not giving the athletes any sort of protection for what's going on.
Yeah. So Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports is one of the most premier, and in my opinion, the premier journalist on this, and he's a friend of the show. And one of the things that Ross has agreed to, and I'm so grateful for that, is during our now annual college football preview shows, Ross is going to give us an interview to talk about all of these things. So he's a great follow on the X platform at Ross Dellinger. So feel free to look him up. I did have a chance to reach out to him. And since this is bipartisan, it has a better chance of making it through than the previous bills. So given the failure of previous legislative attempts, the big question is what makes people think that the Cruz-Cantwell partnership is more likely to succeed than the SCORE Act? And the big question that will not be answered now is, does having the White House backing provide the missing teeth needed for a Senate majority? So we'll be following it. But when we get back in segment 2, we're going to talk about Duke and Amazon and how other conferences and schools are looking at how they can make a little money too. We'll be right back on the Our Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Our Coaches Podcast. And in segment 2, the Amazon end run, Duke, the ACC, and the battle for non-conference millions. And I don't see a mid-major in there. So let's have the conversation about the landmark deal. So Duke's men's basketball has signed a multi-year agreement with Amazon Prime. Y'all got to do some side note. Hey, get some extra pixels or something, because I have not enjoyed watching the NBA playoffs on Amazon Prime, but you get the NFL right. So how do you get the NFL right? And basketball is kind of shoddy. Okay. So they've got an agreement with Amazon Prime to broadcast 3 premier non-conference games next year. Danny, they're going to broadcast the UConn game from Las Vegas. the Gonzaga game from Detroit, and the Michigan game from New York City. So while ESPN owns the ACC's primary rights, Duke leveraged an out-of-footprint neutral site game to create a separate media package. Their lawyers are better than yours. Ask that kid that went to Miami on the football side. Other ACC ADs are concerned this creative move sets a precedent that could allow top-tier brands to siphon off their most valuable non-conference entity. And let's just say Mount St. Mary's, sir, is not going to be a part of these game packages.
No.
So the Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, is actively contesting the Michigan game at Madison Square Garden. Big Ten's got some good attorneys. The Big Ten claims it owns the broadcast rights based on a reciprocity agreement, alternating agreement with the ACC for games in, quote, shared territories, and New York City is a shared territory. So let's talk about ESPN. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips confirmed ESPN was in every conversation. In exchange for the Amazon waiver, Duke reportedly committed to participating in additional ESPN-owned neutral sites events in the 2027, 2028, and 2028, 2029 seasons. Fallback. If the Big Ten and Fox successfully blocks Michigan's participation, Duke's AD Nina King, who's like AD of the century, by the way, she is killing it, suggested the Wolverines could be replaced in the Amazon package to ensure the broadcast proceeds. Danny, now that we've broken it down for our audience, what do you think? And to quote Batman and Prince from 1989, dancing with the devil in the pale moonlight. Oh, my goodness. This is a lot of intertwine. What are you thinking?
Ooh, the Duke has took on the role of Heath Ledger's Joker. Enter chaos. Because this is insane how they were able to pull this off. Now, again, I'm a mid-major guy. I need my mid-major to get some love, but they're not going to be part of this deal. Everyone says Gonzaga's a mid-major. Cut it out. Gonzaga
go to the Big 12 or the Pac-12. You keep talking, I will find out with the musical chairs, Gonzaga's new conference.
They're going to the Pac-12. That's where they're going. For basketball purposes only, they're going to the Pac-12. And they're not a mid-major, so cut it out. Duke finding a way to circumvent these media rights deals within the conference and the other conferences is amazing to me. And they found a way to backdoor their way into getting these 3 primetime games on Amazon Prime. Now, I'm with you. Amazon's Prime NBA coverage is I can do without. I get the money purposes of it, but I can do without it. I don't know how they're going to figure this out, but they're going to. So the Michigan piece, though, with the Big Ten is what really caught my eye in this conversation. Because if Michigan they're going to use their way to make sure that this game does not get broadcast on Amazon Prime, because this takes away from something that they have going. So if by some chance Duke pulls this off, I'm no longer calling them the Blue Devils. They are the Duke Jokers, because they have caused anarchy and chaos, and it's in their favor at this point, because you're getting 3 primetime games against 3 primetime universities in a span of 2 years, because the first 2 games, which is UConn and Michigan, are this year, and Gonzaga is in 2027. So if they can pull this off and get these games going and circumvent what the Big Ten is trying to stop, then this opens Pandora's box for any university to pull this off.
Man, it's brilliant. And let's see if it wins. Let's see if it wins. So, with that, in segment 3, we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about picking an AD and also paying coaches in unique ways, similar to Duke and the Amazon deal. Be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CK Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches Podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. And in segment 3, we want to talk about Wisconsin. We want to talk about Nebraska. So Wisconsin has unveiled a 9-person search committee to find a successor to Chris McIntosh, who departed to become the Big Ten's Deputy Commissioner for Strategy. Great move, by the way, Mr. McIntosh. Okay? So you got star power and you got strong alumni roots. You got Chris Ballard, who is the current Indianapolis coach GM. He's Wisconsin class of 93. You got Michael Finley, ball player extraordinaire, class of 96, former NBA star and current Dallas Mavericks interim co-GM. You also have a chancellor shift. The previous chancellor is departing for Columbia, and you have an incoming interim chancellor. I do not like the words interim. You also have an interim AD who is currently managing the department. You have chaired by Lauren Bishop. She's a faculty athletic rep and former Duke rower. The committee also includes voices from finance, Rob Kramer, pro hockey, Megan Duggan, and student athletes, William Smith, and private equity, Michael Shannon. Private equity. Okay. The school has engaged with CSA Search and Consulting to assist with the vetting of candidates. And let's be mindful, search firms do not hire. They vet candidates and make recommendations of who best fits what you ask for, and then they take their money and walk slowly away from the table, and it's still your call. So, Danny, Wisconsin's in a unique situation, and it's why I wanted to couch it to you this way. They're not Ohio State right now. They're not Indiana. They're not Michigan. They're not Oregon. So, at best, they could be 5th, but then you got UCLA, USC. You got a lot of things going on. They've got to get this right. What do you think about their approach?
I'm not mad at the approach. The one thing that caught my eye, and I was trying to find out more about who all is on the committee, and the fact that they have a current athlete at the university on this committee shows me that they're trying to get the input to see who's going to best serve the athletes along with the university. Now, this is going to be big because if the AD can serve, they're going to find out for the AD to best serve the university. The thing is, though, if you can't find someone who can't build a relationship with the athletes, what's the point of getting this guy the best served the university? Because what a lot of these higher ups in college fail to realize is best serving the university is best serving the athletes on campus. Because at the end of the day, there's potential here, especially if you got Ballard from the Colts on this committee, you got Michael Finley on this committee. So there's a possible pro pipeline here from the university sending its athletes to go on to be professionals in whatever sport they're playing. So clearly you're thinking with you have the right direction in mind. Now it's using the search group to best vet the right candidate that can fulfill all your needs and fulfill the needs of the athletes. So if they can find a way to circumvent all of that, I think this committee thing can be a good move for the university. If not, then this whole putting together a committee and going out to getting a search company was a waste.
So the job itself is a different job. It's hard. It was already hard. So now you got to be a fundraiser. You got to deal with all of these different things. And at some point, somebody's got to go to class, right? If Robert was here, he'd say, "Stop living in fantasy land." So their approach is modern. You also have other Big Ten schools in need of leadership changes or having leadership changes or recent leadership changes, and everybody's kind of doing it a little different. We're based out of Maryland, folks. So Maryland hired a fundraiser, and then they hired the AD from Utah State to kind of do the old school AD thing. So we'll be taking a look at it, but Luke Fickell is already on the hot seat, and Wisconsin basketball is trying to stay relevant. So we'll see what happens with that. And that also takes us to Nebraska, also in the Big Ten, and Coach Matt Rhule's $5 million NIL deal and the future of college coaching contracts. As you heard in segment one, if the Cantwell-Cruz bill gets through, they're talking about capping coaches' salaries. So this is a groundbreaking agreement with Nebraska. So Nebraska has secured a $5 million NIL and intellectual property agreement with head coach Matt Rhule. This allows the university to profit from Rhule's House Rules podcast and likeness-based merchandise. Rhule will earn $13.5 million in 2026, including the one-time payment. Notably, 25% of his salary will be paid to his LLC rather than directly to him. A growing trend in high coaching finance. They pay the company, don't pay the coach. Not a bad deal. The deal comes despite his 19-19 record over 3 seasons, because it still gets back to, are you winning or losing? You also have a lack of ranked wins and the offseason departure of star quarterback Dylan Raiola to Oregon. Rhule's House Rules podcast has over 13,000 YouTube subscribers. I like 13,000 YouTube subscribers, and is viewed as a transparency play to control the narratives of the rebuild, bypass traditional media, and engage donors and recruits directly. Not a bad idea. The deal reflects a shift where the university isn't just hiring a coach, but partnering with a media brand. This follows a record of arbitration win. This follows the recent arbitration win of the CSC that deny NIL deals to Nebraska players, creating a stark contrast in compensation within the program. Danny, I got to admit, Matt Rhule is being a little creative with this. What do you think?
I mean, he's trying to find some way to get some money before they let him out the door with him and his non-success with this university right now. So he's going to find some way to circumvent and get some sort of compensation out of this. And it's not a bad move. All of this thing with the NIL and, paying coaches and getting all and, having access to their intellectual property. All of this is circumvented through the history of college sports. Look to how some of these coaches in the Big East in the early days in the 80s was, being compensated for all the stuff they were doing with brand deals and coaching videos and speaking engagements. Now coaches have
Big John and Nike.
Yeah, like coaches now have a way to get themselves out there now than what they did back in the day with coaches that started podcasts. They're doing a lot more speaking engagements than normal coaches would. And I'm not just talking about the well-known coaches. We got coaches who are still on the up and coming who are out there putting themselves out there. And them creating their brand and, getting a good payment for their brand is not a bad move. So if I applaud Matt Rhule for doing this, because clearly we're already talking about he probably got 1 foot in the building and 1 foot out at this point. So he figured might as well find some way to get some sort of extra compensation to me and my brand so we can get this figured out. Because if he doesn't have some sort of successful season this year, and if they bring him back for next year, then might as well get paid for it.
Yeah. So I'm thinking as we wrap this piece up, thinking about Coach Loxley at Maryland. I'm thinking about whoever's coaching. And I can't believe I forgot Penn State, but I'm thinking about who's ever coaching Rutgers or Iowa or Minnesota. The dude rowing the boat. I always forget his name. It is hard to coach these days. And with so many teams, everybody's fighting and scratching and surviving. Man, you better take care of yourself, man. So maybe Luke Fickell can give him a call too, because it's going to be challenging. It's going to be really challenging. But I'm looking forward to seeing at the end of the day, you're going to blow the whistle, and you got to play football. You're going to throw the ball up. You got to play basketball. So as we close, when this comes out, I will be in Eugene, Oregon at the Black Student Athlete Summit. I would have already presented on Beyond the Scholarship. My intern project manager, Roland Harrison III, will be with me. And let me talk about what we're bringing to Eugene, Oregon. We're bringing information about the CKA VIP program, our virtual internship program. We want to meet with student athletes who are interested in what we do and what we bring. We are conducting national research. As we spoke about in segment 1, we want to hear your voice so we can share to the decision makers student athletes' thoughts on academic and sport motivation, their thoughts on collective bargaining and coaching in today's climate. We are doing segments and things with the Odd Coaches podcast. So if you do want to chat, hit us up at CK Save Project on social media platforms. We are going to have a virtual meeting Tuesday, May 26th at 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to hear more about the CKA VIP program, and even if you want to hear a little bit more about our postgrad that we're developing for August 2028, we're going to have that information. So on behalf of Danny Thompson, our basketball correspondent, and for me, the one who got away, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, the global authority on coaching leadership, where coaching wisdom meets real talk. Also seen on the Cascade Sports Network, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.cksaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.